All right, so starting the recording up here now, so we can go back to it, and I can mention the same things I just mentioned. That a comment is basically these two forward slashes that you'll find where the question mark is, and anything on that line of the comment which turns green is not actually executed by compiler. It will never be executed, so watch out for what you do. Notice the line down here that says system out print line is a different color. It is executed. That is your first line of output. Anytime you want to write a line of output, you could just put a new system out print line. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to move on from comments to output, and I want you to write another line of output right underneath this one, and I'm just going to copy and paste it to make it easier. Or you can write the whole system out print line, but watch out for uppercase and lowercase letters. In the process of doing it, if I copy and paste, I want you to see what it does. Okay? So, when you run a system out print line, what does it do? When you execute a system out print line, you compile it and then run it. What does it do every time you run a system out print line? It outputs what? Some sort of text. And now where does it output text? Somebody else help me out with this. Under. This one did it under it, right? So every time I use a print line, it actually uses the entire line. You see that? So the entire line. So if you actually want to print something way over here to the right on the first line, let me compile it and show that to you. You have to do something different in order to do that. So right now, notice it printed two hello worlds right here in a row. If I want to print something all the way up here to the right, I'm going to have to do something different to it in order to get it there. Or I'm going to have to probably do it a choppy way and just make a whole bunch of spaces after the exclamation point and then put it over there. That's one way to do it. So let's take the hack, not really the hack, but the easiest way to do it is to say, let's say I want the score to print all the way at the right of my screen. Well, if I was to go to the first line, everybody realizes the first system out print line is where that first line would be. Next system out print line is the following line. So if I want the score to print on the top line, I'd have to go to the first one. And one way to do it is just to use a whole bunch of spaces and print like score, I don't know, 5, something like that. And now, notice it's still within the quotes. If you don't put that within the quotes, it's not going to actually print that. But yet now all these spaces is actually treated just like spacing it across. Now, I highly doubt I got all the way to the other side. I want you to try to get it to the other side so that the score prints out all the way around. I got mine in the middle. See how that works? It doesn't matter how many spaces you put in there. This is trying to force it all the way till the end. And let me make sure that this, I can actually change the font of this output to a little bit bigger so that you guys can see when I print out things. If you right click on the top, you can do that. So is that a little bit better for now? You can see my output. It just makes the window a little bigger. If anybody cares about that, for instance, the color of your output screen doesn't have to be black. If you really care about, color scheme and it makes you feel happier to not have a white screen and a black screen every day, if you right click on the top bar and go to properties, if you can change the font like I just did, size. You could also change the type. You could also change the color of the background. So if I wanted it to be something like that, now it didn't change it right now, but it will change it, I believe, for future ones. So I'm going to recompile. Boom. There you go. Now it's nice little color. So now you come in and you're happy even though you didn't do anything. Okay, all it is text, but now it's text in a color you might like. Okay? Now, were you able to get score all the way to the right? It just used a lot of spaces, didn't it? And you can't even see it in your code. If I ask you to print that out, it would be like way over to the right. or it would break lines, and I would wonder why it's because you're adding space in the program. Now, recognize this. Here's one of the biggest things. If I want to add space to the output, I have to put it in between the quotes like I just did. If I decide to add space here, watch. That is after the system out print line. It's not going to error out. The actual Java program can be spaced out however uniquely you want. It doesn't matter that the print line and the parenthesis for the print line are further apart. This is just weird, right? That does nothing. That's kind of like a comment. That does nothing. It will compile, but it just makes it harder to read. If you put spaces there, it does nothing. But if you put spaces inside the quotes, it changes the output. See how that's a little bit different? Making sense? All right, so pretty basic, but now you got it to work. I'm going to go back and get rid of those spaces. That white space doesn't do anything. Believe it or not, you can actually put spaces anywhere. You can put them like there, it still would program. It still would compile. So, a couple other things. Now, it's just about print line, we just said prints a line. Now, if you want to manipulate things on a particular line, and you want to print multiple things together, watch this. On the third line of code, I'm going to copy and paste that system out print line, but I'm going to get rid of the ln. Okay, print ln for print line. I'm going to get rid of the print ln. This will print something. I'll put it to the screen. And watch what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put my name, Dave, right here. I'd like you guys to put your name on the third line of your program. So far, we've got a program that outputs hello world twice and outputs a score in the upper right or wherever you got it to, and then should also print your name on the next line. But notice when I execute it, the print, please enter a key to continue, didn't even break. Because if you don't use print line and use print, it's going to continuously print everything right after it. So watch this. If I go to the fourth line right here, and even though it's a fourth line, if I put another one and put my last name right here, and let's say Ander, what do you think is going to happen? All right, somebody try to take a stab at what do you think is going to happen now that I changed the print. I put Dave and Ander, but I put them on two different lines here in the code, but where are they going to show up in the output? Are you over here think they know? Anybody? I'm hearing something over here. What are they? You have to compile it in order to see it. Try it. Compile it, see it, and you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Even though it's two lines in the actual code, how many lines is it in the actual output? One, because why? We got rid of the ln. So watch out for that. This command works, but it prints everything in order. But you know what? That might be useful to get that score over to the right. So now if you want to make it cleaner where in this first line it says hello world and then there's so many spaces and you can't even see it, you could do something like this. Let's go ahead and say, and I'm going to go down here, and on the next line I'm going to use a system out. Let's say I want to break it to the next line, okay, because I've already printed my name and I didn't put a space in between. Let's just use a basic system out print line and don't put anything in it. Next thing I want to just show you how this works is if I do this with the system out print line and don't put anything in it, it still expects a line, so it's going to finish the line that it didn't finish the time before. So if I put this in between Dave and Ander, it would break that to the next line. If I want Dave and Ander to be spaced out, I actually have to add the spaces inside the quotes so that now there's a space between Dave and Ander. So watch what this does. I have a system out print line afterwards, so it's going to break the line, and the please enter a key to continue will be on the following line. I have a space that I put inside the quotes, so after Dave there's a space. Now what should happen is it'll print Dave Ander with the space in between, because I forced that space, and it broke the line afterwards. So you can force these line breaks by saying system.println and put nothing inside it. We okay so far? Anybody have any questions with what you're seeing in front of you? All right. What my goal was here before I turn off this video is to actually show you that you could use a print to better get that score, and you can actually see all the code on the screen. See up here, I can't see this code on the screen. It's way over here. I don't even know what it is. I might lose track of it even though it's there. So if I wanted to, I could use, let's go to the next line under your name. And now let's get score to print out all the way to the right, but let's be able to see all the code here. Here's what I mean. If I say system out print, not print line, but print, and I use a whole bunch of spaces here, watch this, and end it. What's that going to do? It's going to start and print spaces and then have nothing. I didn't get that far though, did I? But if I want to see this code, since I'm using a print, if I did this several times in a row, it's going to be making a whole bunch of spaces all on the same line. Why? Because I used a print. So then if I want the score to show up at the end, I'll use one more print and I'll put score and get rid of these other spaces. And let's see how far I just moved it over. The interesting thing is now I can see all my code. It's not running off the page. And I'm shifting the score over on one line. Does everyone see how the score came over here? That makes sense to you guys? You're just using a different route to actually get the output to go where you want it to go. And this route is kind of clean because I can now see all the code here. Play around with it. I'm going to stop.